Hi class, Mrs. Calvi here. Quick review on solving one-step equations with positive and negative integers. So I have a problem here. Negative m divided by 3 is equal to 5. So you guys know your goal is to get your variable by itself, solve for your variable. So if you notice here, I have a negative, which is listed in the front here. Now, if you associate the negative with your numerator, you would have a negative variable, which you cannot have. So it's easier to associate this negative with my 3, all right? So when you are solving, you're going to associate the negative with whatever number is easiest to solve quicker. So I cannot associate it with the variable because my variable in the end must be positive, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to relocate this. So I am associating it with the denominator. So now we know the opposite. In order to get rid of this negative 3, I have to do the opposite operation. This is division, the opposite is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 3. These cancel and I have my variable by itself. That's what I want. As you know in class, I always tell you, figure out your sign first so you don't forget about it. A positive times a negative is going to give me a negative. 5 times 3 is 15. So this is the answer you should be putting in Go Formative. Lowercase variable equals negative 15. Do not put any extra spaces, please, so then Go Formative will mark it correctly and I don't have to go in and adjust. Okay, so let's just do a couple more examples. Okay, so let's say I had this problem. I need to get my variable by itself. So I am going to move that positive 4 to the other side. I'm going to do the opposite, which means I'm subtracting 4. I'm going to be left with a negative x is equal to 6. So remember, I said you cannot have a negative variable. Well, technically, what number is in front of my x? There's an actual number there. If there isn't one, which we know is 1. So I'm going to actually put that 1 in. And now, in order to get rid of that, we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. Finally, my variable is positive. So I have x is equal to 6 over negative 1, which is going to just give me negative 6. All right. So if you were to actually go in and plug this back into your original equation, your left side would equal your right side. All right. Let's try a different example. All right, so here we are working with decimals. Doesn't change the process. We want our variable by itself, so we are going to get rid of this negative 0.8 by adding 0.8 to both sides. Don't forget, adding and subtracting decimals, you line the decimal up. So my variable is finally by itself. I would then add these two. And I would get m is equal to 4.6, always variable on the left side. So when you're entering this into Go Formative, please make sure your variable is on the left side. If you enter it on the right side, Go Formative will mark it wrong, and I have to go in and manually adjust. It's just a little bit of extra work for me. All right, so this is one example. Let's do one more. Okay, last example. So I have a fraction next to my variable. If you remember, in order to get rid of a fraction that's next to a variable, we're going to multiply by its reciprocal on both sides. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 7 over 8, or 7/8. These would then cancel. And right now I'm left with x is equal to 7/8 times 5/7. Okay, I'm going to cross simplify to make it easier. So 7 goes into 7 once, 7 goes into 7 once. Now just multiply your numerators across and your denominators across. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 8 times 1 is 8. So my final answer here would be x is equal to 5/8. Remember, you always need to simplify down if you can. So if you don't have a completely simplified answer, you will receive partial credit if your answer is correct but not simplified. All right, I will talk to you guys soon.